And we go into grand detail with Buffett about things on moats and how he thinks about business models and all these other, really complicated topics, which are great. And you can learn, those are important topics. But the number one reason he's so successful and so wealthy is because
talk to us about the long tails of Buffett's success and what investors should truly take away from his career.
What's interesting about Buffett is everyone knows, A, he's a very good investor and he's very wealthy. That's what everyone knows about Warren Buffett. Buffett is a good investor, yes, but his secret is that he's been a good investor for 80 years. And the time that he's been investing for, the fact that he's 90 years old today and he's been investing full time since he was 10 is really what makes all the difference in the world. Because I point out in the book that 99% of Warren Buffett's net worth comes after his 50th birthday. It was accumulated after his 50th birthday. And 97% comes after his 65th birthday when he qualified for Social Security and could have retired. Now, this is so important because if Buffett was like a normal person who retired at age 60, you would have never heard of him. He never would have become a household name. He would have retired to some beach in Florida to play golf with a couple $100 million, as there are like hundreds of those people in Florida. You never would have heard of him. The reason he's so successful is because even after his quote unquote elderly years, that he was wealthy beyond imagination, he kept going and going and going. And it's just the amount of time he's been investing for. And this is so important for investors because so many of us focus and spend so much time and energy trying to answer the question, how did he do it? And lots of other investors, how did they do it? How do they invest? How do they think? What are their skills? And we go into grand detail with Buffett about things on moats and how he thinks about business models and all these other, really complicated topics, which are great. And you can learn, those are important topics. But the number one reason he's so successful and so wealthy is because of the amount of time he's been investing for, which I think it's almost too simple and basic for people to take seriously. People who work in the industry want to think that it has to be more complicated than that. And it's also kind of disheartening for some people to hear. Some people want to read a book and say, what is the secret that I can learn today that I can start putting to use tomorrow? That's what everyone wants, the secret formula. And when you hear that the formula is be patient and wait another half a century, people don't want to hear that. That's a hard thing, but maybe that's the point. All great things in life, like the most incredible things, there's a cost to them. There's a cost of admission. It should be really hard. And the fact that being patient for 3/4 of a century is really hard is why it's so powerful and pays off so well. So I think that's one of the biggest things we can learn from Buffett.
I'm just curious, is there something about him personally that you detect or tease out that says he's unique, not just because he waited a long time, because he's a certain personality or has a certain psychology that's different from everyone else?
I think if there is a trait, and this kind of comes from his biography called The Snowball, that is really, really fascinating to read this side of him. I think he's so obsessed, and that's the right word, with investing and with business, that his entire life he's had more or less a singular focus on valuing and picking companies. And if you read his biography, you can tell that that comes at the expense of his family life, his social life, all these other things. It's really fascinating how many people in the industry admire him. But then when you read about what his whole life is like if you want to be someone, you can't just cherry pick their net worth. You can't just cherry pick their job. You got to think the whole package. And the whole package of Warren Buffett, honestly, doesn't really seem that great to a lot of people, including myself, as someone who really admired him and then read the biography. And I kind of went, it's a fascinating guy. It's a fascinating story, but do I want that life? I don't know if I do. I think he's obsessed with investing and picking companies and allocating capital more than anyone else has been over the last century, probably. I think that's not an exaggeration. That obsession boils down to and comes down to the fact that when he was in his 70s and he was a multi-billionaire, he said, I'm not slowing down. I'm not going to quit my job. I'm going to keep doing this with as much passion and fervor as I've always had. That's a level of obsession that you don't see many places. Most investors, including myself, I would say, want to get wealthier. They want money. They want to build wealth so that they can maybe go do something else, so that they can have a level of independence, fulfill other hobbies, spend more time with their families, etc. And I think for Buffett, it was never that. It was never a means to an end. It was always just he loves playing the game. And the rewards, shows up in his lifestyle as well. The rewards, I think, it's just a scorecard to him. The fact that he lives in the same house he bought when he was 25 years old shows that the wealth that's accumulating is just the scorecard of how he's doing. But I think he loves the game. He loves the process of picking stocks more than the outcome that's made him so wealthy.